Forces of Nature here is one of the Teen Titans episodes that I remember the best, as it's one of the ones that was most replayed, at least in my area. Though considering this was hosted on a cable network, I imagine that's probably true of most people. A dangerous-looking storm with some people in it, for some reason, rolls into town while, meanwhile, Beast Boy is setting up a prank as part of a prank war with Cyborg. He's set up this giant catapult to launch a balloon full of motor oil at Cyborg's face when he comes around the corner. But he doesn't listen to Raven when she points out that it may not be Cyborg who comes around that corner first. And in fact, it's not. It's Starfire, and she gets hit and she doesn't understand what she did wrong to deserve this. And yeah, prank wars are fine. Something like that wouldn't have hurt Cyborg. It could theoretically hurt any one of the others, because the motor oil might get in their mouth and be toxic to them in some way or something, but it's definitely not going to hurt Cyborg, so it's not as if this is inherently a problem. It's just that Beast Boy didn't really think things through, and then after the fact, rather than just apologize to Starfire, he makes excuses. But before this plotline can really resolve itself, they're called away from the tower because the people in that storm turn out to be two brothers, Lightning and Thunder. They're designed and most likely based on gods from Japanese mythology, though I'm not really sure which ones, so I'm not going to comment on that too much. Point is, there is definitely a Japanese influence to them, and very much like Beast Boy, they're just trying to have a good time, but they haven't really thought through the consequences. They think it's fun to use their abilities, which are basically destructive. Like, I can think of a few ways that they could use their abilities that aren't destructive, but the episode treats their abilities as purely destructive, and I'm just going to roll with that because it does fit the message pretty well. So they're going around busting things up, and the Titans encounter them a couple of times. First, the entire group of Titans encounters them, and then later just Starfire and Beast Boy encounter them after they've split up from the others. And the first couple encounters are basically just big slugfests. There's not a whole lot of revolutionary choreography going on in these fights, but they're still entertaining to watch. Watching superpowered beings fight powers against powers is always a lot of fun, just so long as the fights don't draw themselves out too much, and in this case, they don't. As this is happening, though, Beast Boy almost gets through to Thunder a couple of times, and starts to recognize that Thunder doesn't want to hurt anybody, he just wants to have a good time. And so, thanks to his own experiences, Beast Boy is able to relate to this person, and therefore relate to both of their enemies. This is when things get a little bit more complicated, though. The third act of this episode is actually kind of convoluted. An old man in Japanese-style garb, who is definitely not Slade, even though he sounds exactly like Slade, shows up immediately after this old man seemingly either severely hurts or kills Starfire. And he recruits them to come off and have some fun away from these people who are trying to stop their fun. This triggers Beast Boy to finally apologize to Starfire, who was not actually hurt, and that resolves their storyline. I thought actually quite satisfyingly, because Beast Boy's apology to her was genuinely heartfelt and genuinely moving. The voice actor did a fantastic job there. And also, in a way, brings this episode into the overarching story of the series so far. The old man convinces the brothers to attack a bunch of straw effigies, which allows him to ritual summon this giant fire monster here, and send it off towards the city, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. The Titans confront the creature, and Robin sees the old man, and it's pretty clear that the old man let him see him, because it turns out, surprise, surprise, the old man is Slade, and so we get our first confrontation between Robin and Slade, the two of them, of course, being major rivals throughout this series. And they seem pretty evenly matched, but only because as soon as Slade's mask is broken and Robin is able to see his true face, which is the Slade mask in this case, behind the mask of the old man, Slade retreats. I have no idea why he retreated, as we have seen in past episodes that he wants the Titans to know who he is, but I imagine it must be part of his ambiguous and yet to be unveiled plan. At this point, though, he leaves Robin with the impression of who he is, that he is in fact Slade, and so Robin has some idea now that Slade is the one behind the weird stuff that's been happening. Essentially, Slade has handed Robin another piece to the puzzle. Meanwhile, the other Titans try to fight the giant fire monster, and this is where the fight scenes in the episode start to get cerebral. They notice that this creature is creating a forest fire, so they use their powers to move trees out of the way of the creature so that the forest fire doesn't spread. Then Cyborg jumps right in front of the creature and uses his sonic cannon to throw a huge billow of earth over the creature, trying to snuff it out, but the creature burns too hot for that to work. So Cyborg has them retreat down to the edge of the city and use water from fire hydrants to try to extinguish it. But again, it burns too hot for that to work. And so far, despite all of their powers, the Titans have failed to stop this thing. The brothers try to interfere with them stopping the creature at first, but Beast Boy finally gets through to Thunder and he confronts his brother and they duke it out. His brother finally realizing that they're not having fun anymore, that this stopped being fun. And so Thunder is able to make him realize that likewise, they're going to end the fun fun of all those people who are going to be killed by this monster they created. So they finally combine their powers in a way that is not destructive, creating a massive storm that extinguishes the creature and the forest fire that it left behind. They apologize to the Titans, thanking Beast Boy and Starfire, who both contributed to turning them around. And that is, as far as I recall, the last time we see them in the series. I think it would have been super neat if they had turned out to be like recurring allies or something, but what are you going to do? Overall, this is a really good episode. It is a decent character study of Beast Boy, though it does kind of go off the rails at the end and stop being that at some point. We get the sense that Beast Boy is a very playful kind of person, but his heart is in the right place. And when it comes right down to it, he's a pretty responsible guy. And at the end of the day, that's really all that we needed to know about him at this point in the series, so it's okay. The fight between Robin and Slade was a lot of fun, and getting to see Cyborg take charge of the Titans as they were trying to stop this monster when Robin wasn't present was also fun, as it gives us our first look at Cyborg as a strong leader, one who actually rivals Robin in his abilities. Like, I wouldn't say that he has quite the strategic mind that Robin does, but he's still very capable, and I liked that being reinforced here. And I am, in particular, quite glad that we got that here in this episode, because in the next episode, which is our initial character study of Cyborg, we don't get any of that at all. All of that said, though, guys, if you have seen this episode of Teen Titans, what did you think of it? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. Either way, though, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.